The Passport Gambit. The Greatest Theft of Property Rights in History, Part 1. The Magic of Color and the Global Trust. Hello, friends. Have you ever wondered why your passport is that specific color? There are only 4 main cover colors in the world, but this is not a matter of design. It is a matter of jurisdiction and your legal status within the global system. Look at the map of Europe. It is burgundy. That is the color of continental law. Now, look at the United States of America, Canada, and Ukraine. They are blue. In international practice, the color blue is traditionally associated with admiralty law or maritime law. This is the law of commerce and the high seas, where a person is viewed not as a living soul, but as a resource, cargo, or a corporate asset. The history of the United States passport, from freedom to debt. Few people know that the American passport was not always blue. From 1926 to 1941, it was red. This was a period when America still remembered the taste of real assets and direct gold backing. Every dollar was backed by a specific weight of gold, and the passport confirmed your status as a co-owner of that system. From 1941 to 1976, it became green. This was a transition period under the banner of dollar dominance and global military control. Green, the color of fresh banknotes and military fatigues, served as an intermediate stage while America was being prepared for a total break from the gold standard. During this time, gold-fringed flags began to appear in United States courts, a symbol of military and maritime tribunals replacing the common law of the land. Since 1976, it has been blue. Why does this matter? In 1971, President Richard Nixon officially ended the gold backing of the dollar. The transition to the color blue in 1976 recorded a new reality. The citizen is no longer backed by gold. Now, he is a participant in commercial maritime law, regulated by the Uniform Commercial Code, or UCC. Now, the blue passport is a ship's manifest of the Corporation of the United States. The global synchronization of 1932 and 1933. Before the revolution, there were no passports in the Russian Empire. Only passport letters existed. But in 1932, Joseph Stalin and General Commissioner of State Security Genrikh Yagoda created the Unified Passport Trust. It sounds incredible, but look at the dates. In December 1932, the Soviet Union introduced the Red Passport, conducting a total inventory of all beneficiaries of the country's resources. The state recorded every person as a holder of a share in a colossal public property. Just a few months later, in April 1933, on the other side of the ocean, President Franklin Roosevelt issued Executive Order 6102. He confiscated gold from American citizens under the threat of 10 years in prison. This was not just an economic measure. It was the moment the world synchronously moved to a system where living gold was replaced by a paper accounting of human capital. From that moment on, you became collateral for the national debt. Part 2. The Red Soviet Passport. A gold certificate of the beneficiary. Let's look deeper into the Red Passport of the Soviet Union. It is not just an ID. According to the supreme law of the country, all public property, land, forests, minerals, factories, and the gold reserve officially belonged to the people on the basis of shared ownership. The Red Passport was legal proof that you were a shareholder and a beneficiary of this giant trust. What did this gold share mean in practice? The owner of a red passport was the master of the country, and here were his direct dividends. Housing was free. The state allocated it to you as a legitimate co-owner of the land by right of birth. This was not a mercy from the authorities. It was your legal share in the distribution of resources. Utilities cost pennies. Rates for water, gas, and electricity were practically zero because you, as the owner, could not sell resources to yourself for profit. The price covered only technical delivery. Social funds, education, healthcare, and resort vacations were fully paid for from the profits of your collective trust. This is what the West calls indivisible funds. Behind your red book stood hundreds of tons of pure gold from the state reserve and the inexhaustible wealth of 1/6 of the Earth's landmass. Legally, every citizen of the USSR was a creditor of the state. You were a millionaire whose colossal capital was invested in powerful shared infrastructure and industry. Part 3. The Passport Gambit of 1995. The Ukrainian Trap. In the 1990s, the architects of the new reality began a global replacement of documents. When the Soviet Union collapsed, Russia kept its passport ready, officially declaring itself the successor to all assets. This allowed them to maintain the appearance of continuity. But Ukraine, in 1995, followed a scenario of radical status change, beginning the mass issuance of blue passports. People were told this was a sign of independence and compliance with international ICAO standards. What really happened behind closed doors? First, the zero option. In the 90s, the Ukrainian government signed a series of agreements, completely renouncing its share in the gold, diamond fund, and foreign real estate of the Soviet Union in favor of Russia. The value of this inheritance exceeded $100 billion. In return, Ukraine received only the cancellation of artificially created debts. Second, surrender of title. By surrendering the red passport and voluntarily accepting the blue one, the individual performed an act of legal surrender. In law, this is called tacit consent. You exited the trust of owners and entered the Corporation of Ukraine, registered in international registries as a commercial enterprise. This corporation does not have your gold on its balance sheet. It only has debt obligations to the International Monetary Fund. Third, the role of Western consultants. American and European advisors actively lobbied for the blue color of the documents and the introduction of new codes. It was an operation of downgrading status. You exchanged the status of a full owner of assets for the status of a tenant and a resident, who is obliged to pay taxes for the right to be on the land that previously belonged to him by right of birth. Part 4. Legal Death and ID Cards. Today, we are witnessing the final act of this drama. The old blue books are being replaced by modern ID cards. This is the final stage of your transformation into a digital record. Look closely at how your name is written in the blue passport or on this card. It is written strictly in capital letters. John Doe. Many people think this is just a font choice, but in American and international law, this is of critical importance. This is called capitis diminutio maxima. This is a legal term derived from Roman law, meaning the maximum loss of rights or civil death. When your name is written in all caps, it means that before the law stands not a living person of flesh and blood, but a state-created corporation. Your straw man. Your ID card is a license to use that name. You, the living person, become a surety for the debts of this corporate entity. In the United States, this scheme works through the Social Security number, which is essentially a bond number on the stock exchange. In Ukraine, this is implemented through the tax number and the biometric card. This is not a citizen's document. It is an employee badge and, at the same time, a product label in a system where you no longer have rights to the land and minerals. Your only function is the lifelong payment of interest on debts that your government took from world bankers. The blue passport became the very tool that cut you off from resources and turned you into a debt slave. Part 5. The birth certificate. The hidden collateral few people know, but the most important document in this game is your birth certificate. In the West, it is called a bond of life. At the moment parents register a child in the registry office or state registry, a trust is created. An account is opened in your name, which is traded on international markets. Your Soviet birth certificate is a document for a share in the USSR trust. This is exactly why they are so persistent in asking you to replace it with new forms. Replacing an old document with a new one in the blue passport system is a final renunciation of the beneficiary's rights. It is the moment you confirm that you are not the master of the inheritance, but simply hired personnel in a corporation undergoing bankruptcy. Part 6. Conclusion. Wake up, shareholder. Friends, look at your passport right now. Look at it not as a travel document, but as a legal contract. Do you see a living person there, or a dry commercial entry in the registry of debt obligations? We live in a world where the colors of covers determine your fate. In 1995, Ukraine became a testing ground for the greatest experiment in dispossessing millions of people through the change of documents. In the United States today, the same thing is happening. Your private property rights are melting away, turning you from free people into tenants who pay for every breath in a system created with your own money. What do you think about this great fraud? Did you know that your name in the passport is just a legal fiction for collecting debts? If this information made you think, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and be sure to share this video with your friends. This knowledge is the first step toward freedom. In the next part, we will dig even deeper. We will analyze how birth certificates are structured and what hidden clause
of international law allow you to exit the status of a commodity and regain your status as a sovereign. It is time to know the truth. It is time to reclaim your inheritance.